Okay, you know Ryan always recommends these shows for me.
I'm telling you, I am a tastemaker in these streets. I just have good taste. I just know what to watch, what to look for, who to really watch out for.
Well, you told me to watch Love is Blind. You
Yes,
would watch this entire thing. I'm now binge watching it. Now, this show on Netflix is crazy. It's literally a social experiment where people have to fall in love without even seeing each other. They get engaged before they see each other.
Which, honestly, to be like, when I first started watching this, I was like, there's just no way there's going to be black people on this show. I was just like, there's just no way. Black people are just not just going to like just go into something like a social experiment and put their whole lives on the line. Like,
and their hearts.
But it was just so beautiful. Like, I even got so emotional.
Yes, I cried. I actually texted you. I cried. I don't even know which episode at this point.
But
we do have one of the star couples joining us right now because we love to bring the people we love into the studio.
Yes, we do.
Please welcome Giannina. I'm sorry, everyone.
I always say
Gigi. Can I say Gigi?
You can say Gigi. Yeah, I like Giannina, but my entire life people have always butchered it.
But I do. No, actually, people butcher my name. I'm Shira, so I'm going by your real name. Giannina Damian and Damian Powers. Welcome to Let's Go There.
Oh, hello.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Wait, this is a Audible program, and Gigi looks absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
And
she styled herself.
I mean, I'm not shocked. She's an Instagram girl. We know this. We know.
But were you an Instagram girl before you did that? Or I hate saying Instagram girl, but
No, but
were you a social media person before you did this?
What do you mean, like social media person?
You had a regular job.
Yeah. No, my job was not like being an influencer. Yeah, I always just took social media as like my creative platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I always loved taking pictures. I was a writer growing up, still am, kind of thing. And that's just what I used it for. I use it as like my hobby, my passion.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are now like tuning in and like absorbing this content that I just do for fun is just making me so happy.
And when I say Instagram girl, I mean like she's just absolutely stunning.
Good.
Oh,
That's
you.
what that means. It's not like she's like out here doing it on the Instagram.
Well, I want to give people a sense of your dynamic because it's a fascinating one to watch, the journey. We don't want to have too many spoilers in this interview.
No. But if you haven't seen it, that's not my problem. I'm gonna have a nice conversation.
It's all out.
That's what I'm saying.
It's all
So
out.
if you haven't seen it, we're gonna talk very candidly.
But you had to keep this secret for a year before the show actually was up.
A year and a half, yeah.
A year and a half. How do you do that? How do you just keep it secret?
I mean, I told everyone that we met through mutual friends, which wasn't a really
So people knew you were dating, but not how.
Yeah, not how, or like that we met through that experiment. Not at all. I mean, my friends and family, the ones that were involved, knew, but that's about it.
Okay, so before we do any more questions, because we have to play a little bit of the trailer of this show for people that don't know what we're talking about and who these people are. But if you have been living in a cave, here's your chance to catch up.
I've met the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I've never seen her before.
Here, you will choose someone to marry.
Hello.
Nice to hear from you. Can't say see ya.
Without ever seeing them.
24/7. If you're ready to find the love of your life,
Game time.
the pods are now open.
What kind of work do you do?
So what are some of your biggest turnoffs?
So what are you looking for in a woman?
Ethnicity, race, physical appearance. None of that matters.
I'm really starting to emotionally connect with you.
This could be.
I mean, it's very inspiring.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is one of those things where if you are skeptic, like, because I am a huge skeptic of all things, and so when watching this show, I just didn't know how much of it would be like real, like, and also I was kind of questioning everyone's mental health.
For real.
As you should.
No, but when you hear things like that coming after everyone's seen everything, what is your response to that? Because y'all found love, it seems like. Y'all are all cute and stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been together for a year and a half since the show, since we met. And, you know, it was definitely, for me, I heard about it because someone reached out to me about it, and it was like a divine timing thing for me. I was telling my girlfriends, there's no men in the city for me, and at that moment, there was a message on my phone. Literally, my phone blinked at that exact moment. Then they told me about it, and I was in a really confident place in my life where, you know, I had my business, I had like my own independent woman thing going on, so I was like, no one can mess with me.
Right.
I can do this. If it happens for me, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then, like, lo and behold, every single thing happened. And once you're in there, it's very much a question of like your character and who you are as a person. And I realized that you can't accept love unless you love yourself. So it's like, how do I receive love? Like, what's my love language? Like, you go through all these things, and your mental health is really a big part of that, of course.
And Damian, what was it like for you?
Majestic. I mean, it was so unreal. It was real. I mean, and when I say that, we had a sixth sense in there that I couldn't explain. It was, you can't see somebody, but you see them without seeing them.
Yeah.
And because that was one thing that really attracted me to the idea and concept of this, because I was with you guys, I was like, this is the craziest shit. I've heard of blind dating. Hey, 3-minute dates, y'all see each other. Like, does it work? Like, this was, hey, you're going to sit here and you're going to get to know somebody purely for who they are on the inside. And to me, that was beautiful because a lot of people don't see who I am on the inside. They just say, oh, well, like, he's tall, attractive, he works out, or he's a douchebag, like, whatever, right? And I don't have that presence.
Yeah, because Damian is very hot, by the way. I'm just putting this out there.
They're both very good looking.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And, you know, for me growing up, I wasn't ever that guy. I was in theater, and, you know, I was like, I always got picked on, and I was super, super scrawny. So I changed that, but I was still me. I've always been humble. And I was like, man, like, somebody could actually see me for who I really am without judging me on my looks and see me afterwards. I would be amazed at what they would think.
We are with one of the star couples from Love is Blind, Damian and Gigi here.
Which, real quick, so Gigi, a storyline of yours was that you were kind of the self-sabotage like person. Like, you would just ruin everything. But to be honest, I felt like I saw you as one that was an independent woman who knew what she wanted and knew what she wanted to get out of this experiment. But Damian, did that, like, ever intimidate you at any point through this process where you like, whoa, I've just never dated a girl like her?
I would be lying through my teeth if I said no. It was, somebody even asked me at one point, they're like, have you ever dated anybody like Giannina? And I said, I could combine everybody I've ever dated and I wouldn't even touch.
I love that.
And it's real. It's because this girl, like, you know, it's our ethnic backgrounds are different, you know, and we have different beliefs. We were raised different. And, but for me, it was a side I could see a change, and not just us, but us to show the world that people can change. People can learn to adapt to people that are completely different. And she challenged me in so many different ways that I was like, I'm a fighter. When I get back in the corner, I fight, right, for everything I believe in. And I believed in her, I believed in us, and I said, you know, this is worth it. For once in my life, like, this is worth it, and I know it is. So.
But there were a lot of there were a lot of questions because once you meet each other in this space, so you're like talking to each other without seeing each other. Then the engagement happens, and then you go on vacation with each other, and then you meet the parents. There's like all these stages. Were there questions throughout those other stages? Because at that point, then real life comes in.
Especially when y'all got physical.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the physical stage, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because once you see it where I see him for the first time and I turn around and I go back into like my pod and then I turn back around again. And the reason why I did that was because I was just so like in it that once I see him, once I touch him, like end game, that's it. You know, so it was a lot of getting to really get used to his face when I had like my own picture of what he would look like. So you can't really match the voice to the face. And then after that, it's like, okay, like, how are we in social situations? Will my parents like you? You know, how is it when, like, we kiss? Like, how is that going to happen? So it was just a lot of, like, things that you're like, okay, I match with you emotionally and like, I have this incredible connection, but physically, like, how is that going to work out? And that was just a whole other, like,
ball game. When we're in the pods and we were dating, like, the connection was unreal. And you didn't get to see enough of, like, our dating experience. It was unbelievable. Like, we were mimicking each other without even realizing it. But when you combine that physical connection, it's like, it does make a difference because I fell in love with a voice, right? And a personality, and now I'm trying to match it to this, and it's just like, there's something blocking, you got to learn how to get through that because it still matters, right?
And not all of the couples that worked, right? Like, they loved each other over the voice and their spirit and soul, but, you know, they got in person, and you can't fake chemistry.
Which, speaking of that, your castmates Carlton and Diamond really have kind of brought up this conversation about, you know, kind of biphobia and just bi people in general and being bisexual. What did you guys think of that, like, that moment when you were kind of watching the show play out and you're seeing your castmates? Did you have to choose a side because the guys were in one room, the girls were in another room? Like, what were you thinking in that moment while you were seeing this play out?
Between Carlton and Diamond?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me it was they're both really great people. And they're always, and I had no side to choose there. I think they were both in the wrong in their own way, and they both own that. I think the situation could have been handled differently, but we were in extreme circumstances, a small amount of time. You're starting to stay and live with somebody that you just met, and sometimes that works out. But when you're with them, and you've built this strong connection, and then something goes off, it's like, well, what happened? Everything I thought is like, so I think there's some stuff we probably didn't see, like behind the scenes or whatever, that built up to those moments. But I've spoken to both of them, and they're both beautiful people in their own ways. And I can tell you this right now, like nobody's biphobic, even though like it's come across that way. Like she's amazing.
Which I never thought she was, to be quite honest. I thought that was a moment where everyone, because if you are just a human being, you understand that this is an extreme situation. And so you look at this and you're just like, well, she's just asking a question. She wants to know. But I think with heightened experiences and heightened emotions, of course, people are just feeling.
There can be a lot of triggers in that type of thing.
And then the internet sucks. How have y'all dealt with the internet?
Just one last thing to touch on the Carlton thing. I talk to Carlton a lot and stuff, and there's a lot of bullying that has been going around towards Diamond and towards Carlton, and that is not okay, people. People have real emotions, real families, and when people start attacking them, we all deal with things differently, but we have to understand that it could be us in those situations at some point in our life in different areas. So
and even Jessica.
Yeah.
It's just like there's so much.
Poor baby.
So poor thing.
I know. I feel so bad.
Wait, I don't know where we're at right now.
Well,
I have not finished.
Jessica was.
Oh, I know.
Well, I'm just going to say, so Jessica was dating Barnett. I mean, y'all all were dating each other, but Jessica and Barnett and Amber and Barnett chose each other.
Yeah, I know that.
Jessica didn't really like Mark.
Yes.
She wasn't sexually attracted to him. And
what happened?
She was trying to sneak in.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, she would get drunk and she would kind of have little vulnerable moments.
Yeah.
She was a mess. But I felt so bad watching that because imagine sitting in real time watching yourself kind of have that moment.
Watching it play out.
Yeah. And I think like we've all kind of been in that situation at some point where we're like, oh my God, like I'm really into this guy, but then he's like rejecting me, but he has a girl. So you're just like, how do I maneuver this? And a lot of times, every single day, pretty much, we would tell each other like, no one's gonna understand how this feels, right? Because it was a true experiment. And the bonds that you create with someone in that situation are so strong. And like the girl was literally just like following her heart. I'm not saying that it was right or it was wrong. We all handled our situations,
of course,
completely differently. But I think everyone's blown up at some point. Everyone's fallen for the guy that is emotionally unavailable at some point.
Hello.
And like our situations just happen to be broadcasted to the world.
So that's the real reason why y'all are here, so y'all can give some like beautiful advice.
I know it's Netflix casting
to Shira. I almost said to Netflix because obviously when people are watching this, right? They're like, well, how do you make yourself vulnerable enough to even be open to an experience?
Or should other people do it? Like, is this the way to find love now?
Well, I mean, I feel like people have always kind of fallen in love, like through pen pals or like before social media was a thing. You had AIM and AOL, and you'd be like, I really like this person. Like, I can't wait to meet them in person. Like, have you seen You've Got Mail?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Classic.
So it's like that type of feeling. I think, however love comes to you in whatever form, embrace it and accept it.
Yes.
That's how I went into this experience. I found love within myself, and then I happened to find love with Damian.
All right, so I want to go back to the responses from like social media, and that now like that the show is out a year and a half later, you're watching it. Did you just watch it with everyone else?
No.
Or like you got to see it before?
No.
It was I think we watched she started watching it without me.
At 4 a.m.
So it just came out.
I could not
sleep.
We made that thing. We're like, well, we're gonna watch it. She's like, I really want to watch it with you. I'm like, okay. And then next thing I know, I couldn't wait.
Oh my God.
I gotta work at 5 a.m. I can't watch this at 3 a.m. in the morning.
And then I went to his apartment at like 4:30 a.m. and I couldn't sleep and he couldn't sleep. And then we started watching it.
Me, waking me up, and I'm like, what's wrong?
I was having anxiety.
I can't watch this by myself.
Yeah. So what do you feel like when you watch that? Were you just like freaking out in terms of how they portrayed you two?
Especially y'all wedding.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not easy to watch. I mean, some of the things that I thought were going to be so cringe just were super normal, and it just happens to be my face up there. And, so that at the beginning of it, I was freaking out with every single episode. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I look like that. I was like, what's going on? Just because it was a year and a half of a build-up, and it was finally just like out there. So after, watching the first couple of episodes, I was just very grounded and like, okay, like I'm still alive. Like, we're going to get through this. And He was great. He watched the second set, so the 6 through 9 without me to like brace myself to prepare me because
she didn't want to watch
Which,
them.
Damian, I thought you would have been more nervous, especially after the wedding episode came out, and you know how that all fell to pieces, where you guys did not end up saying
I still haven't
do.
watched the season finale.
Really?
We watched our parts.
I watched pieces of it. I didn't even finish watching ours all the way through.
So what did your families think about that when y'all, because obviously you're together now and y'all had to talk about that.
Yeah,
and I know you were very
broke
private.
It. So you were together, you ended things, and you keep on coming back. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So right after the Heart Wants What It Wants.
She was a runaway bride. She gave me drama. I loved it.
You were the runaway bride?
It's my favorite
That's
gift.
me.
You're the one who left, or you?
Just watch the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it for you.
All right, so yeah, continue.
Girl, she'll see it. I'll tell her.
All right, so yeah, what do your parents?
My parents, so they, they were so happy for me when I told them about Damian, and they were obviously very skeptic. Like, do you know this person? Are you gonna marry him? But they met him and they loved him. They loved his character. And then obviously when everything happened at the altar, my mom was like, hold me back, hold my earrings, But after I explained to her and to my parents, like, you remember who you met, right? This great, wonderful person, that's still him. And, whatever happens at the end of the day, our relationship is our relationship, and they love his character, and we kind of just moved on from there.
Did you meet Damian's parents?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and how was that? Because I know they didn't want to be on camera, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're private.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say anything from your boundaries because I believe in boundaries here. Let's go there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, barely. But for you, because you're fine, how did you deal with that?
So it was hard, but I mean, they've done the whole reality thing in the past. We had another friend on a big reality show, and things how things can be like turned, twisted, and there's just a lot of stake, with our family and stuff like that. That it's just sometimes it's good to separate that. But I still had their support off camera. They're still giving it to me. I mean, they had even talked to G on the phone, at points. And the timing didn't really match up. We did a lot of filming. We were doing long days. I was still working a full-time job. So
really,
yeah.
While you're shooting?
Yeah. So I didn't.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of time frames, and my dad travels out of town a lot for work. So the timing didn't really work out in our favor up to the time of the wedding.
Yeah.
But I mean, they met her not too long after, and she came and spent Thanksgiving with us and Christmas. And
wow.
So, yeah.
I just want to invite to the real wedding.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll be there. I'm from Nashville. I used to go to Atlanta all the time. So
you're right there.
We can make it happen.
You ever seen the century of the weddings of the century? It's gonna be it.
Oh.
It's gonna be a lot of making up.
You better hold
Raising
him to
the
that.
bar.
Gigi looking at him like,
no.
You better remember.
Are you guys all as the cast friends now? Or like, are you on like a WhatsApp or text chat together or something like that?
We're on a secret chat
We're a
called
secret
Pod
group
Squad.
What, for real?
Yeah,
That's
we're
cute.
the Pod Squad.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, I'm so excited for you all, and I mean, hopefully there's another season with another group
Is
of
this
people.
going to be like the next big, like I feel like Bachelorette franchise? It feels like.
I think there's a lot of questions involved with that. I mean, now that it's out, you have the I guess people call it the OGs, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a sense of, we all went on there not knowing it was going to be Netflix, not knowing that Nick and Vanessa were going to be the host. This was a full social experiment to the max of, can you be raw? Can you be authentic? The way they found us, was actually like just boom. We didn't apply to be on the show, so it was all raw people they found, and I think there's a question like, can you repeat that after you see how this blew up, right? And how would you do that?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of questions, I think, about what can we do, what could they do for season 2 if it was cute, but
I mean, I think at the end of the day, like I couldn't fake this connection. Like I couldn't.
I believe it. I'm saying it.
Yeah, like you can't like evoke that emotion without people seeing right through it. So
totally.
So I think at the end of the day, like whoever does. If there is a season 2 and whoever does happen to be on there, like you're gonna think that you can like game the system. You can't game the system.
Then you're gonna fall in love and be like, oh shit, I came on here just to.
What did I do?
mess around.
Yeah.
Wait, how much are? All right, this is like a bit geeky, but like, how much are producers involved?
And they gotta
like,
go
is it
soon.
like
They
what's
gotta
that
go.
reality? A fictional reality show.
The producers
You know
did
what I mean?
Oh, you're
absolutely
talking about
wonderful.
Unreal.
Like, is it like an
Yes.
Unreal type thing?
Yeah, the producers were great. They did what they needed to help us along the process, but everything was 100% unscripted. It was on us. We we got it ourselves, like, because this was new territory for all of us. Even the producers really didn't know. I mean, this is the first season of its kind, right?
Yeah.
But they would say, hey, we're going on a vacation. We didn't know we were going to Mexico, right? So they kept it full surprising. That way everything was raw and real to the max.
We were kept in the dark all the time.
Well, all right. Well, this has been very interesting.
I mean,
we're fans. Love is Blind.
Definitely love Lauren and Cameron, but I also love y'all. Y'all are like my fans, and y'all need the same type of level of like.
I mean, I'm team B&G, but I'm also like team Lauren and Cam. Cam's my boy.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
They are cute.
I talk to Cam like 3-4 times a week, so me and him are always like.
I'm just saying, I loved it. I love y'all.
A lot of goals. Well, hopefully you're also inspired that you can fall in love wherever.
I hope you're inspired, girl, because I love being single. Either way, y'all, we got more show coming up. Don't y'all go anywhere.